bottom of page 128. Ha'chamamerosh ha'ilanot nistalka Boveneit likrat Shabbat ha'malka Boveneit likrat Shabbat ha'malka Ha'chamamerosh ha'ilanot nistalka Boveneit likrat Shabbat ha'malka Boveneit likrat Shabbat ha'malka Hine hi yoredet hakdosha Hine hi yoredet habrucha ha'chamamerosh ha'ilanot nistalka Boveneit likrat Shabbat ha'malka Boveneit likrat Shabbat ha'malka Hine hi yoredet hakdosha Hine hi yoredet habrucha ha'chamamerosh ha'ilanot nistalka Boveneit likrat Shabbat ha'malka Boveneit likrat Shabbat ha'malka
Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos to all of you and welcome. We are celebrating not only the end of the week with Shabbat, which we get to do throughout the year, but we are also celebrating a very special occasion, and that is the bar mitzvah of Bryson Underwood. So in advance of tonight's service and tomorrow's service, we say a Mazal Tov to Elena and to his dad and his Saba and grandma and all the family and friends and CBS members who are here to honor Bryson this weekend. So Mazal Tov again. And Bryson, we're very much looking forward to you leading services with us tonight and tomorrow. On a more somber note before we start, I think we all know that the conflict in Israel has broken out again between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. And our thoughts are with our Israeli brothers and sisters who, again, are in harm's way, as well as all those innocents who have been harmed or killed during this conflict. And we continue to pray that those hostages who still might be alive are able to eventually and at some point be able to return to their families. But right now, we are going to light our Shabbat candles, and I'd like to invite Elena and Bryson to come up to the bima. And if you want to follow the bracha, the blessing that they're going to say, it's on page 120 in your prayer books.
You want to do this? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehag v'gner shel Shabbat.
Thank you, Elena, and Bryson, you're up here with us. We're going to continue on page 138 with the singing of Lecha Dodi, one of the cycle of different prayer songs that were written by mystics in the Galilee about 400 years ago. We haven't done this one in a little while. I know of at least half a dozen melodies to this, so Gordon's going to teach us whichever one he wants to do tonight.
We're going to do a half a dozen tonight. Half a dozen melodies. No, we usually do verses 1, 2, and 8 and 9. But you can all join in on the chorus. You can always sing La 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 if you don't know. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamu v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmiyanu, El hamiuchad Adonai echad, U'shemo echad, V'shemu tiferet v'letila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechumanecha ki mekor habracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'makshavat techila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. 8. Yamin usmol tifroti ve'et Adonai, Tariti al yad ish ben parti v'nismecha v'nagila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. We rise if you can, face the entryway. Boi v'shalom, ateret balagam b'simcha, uvetzola tochemune am segula. Boi chala, Boi chala. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela.
And now that we have welcomed the Shabbat bride to sit among us tonight, I ask you to please remain standing if you're able, and we continue with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 144.
Yitkada v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, B'alma divrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh, B'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, uv'izman kariv, v'imeru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach, Le'olam u'olmei almaya, Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yithalev, v'yithala, Shemei Dekudesha Barichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Da'amiram bi'alma, Ve'imeru. Amen.
Our call to worship the Baruch Hu is on page 146.
Lie, lie, lie,
Lie, lie, lie, lie, lie.
lie. Lie, 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 lie.
Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam.
Please remain standing as we continue at the top of page 149, and I invite you to please join me. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Page 151. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lavavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi misavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam B'shitecha b'veitecha, uv'lektecha v'derech, uv'shartecha uv'kumecha, uv'shartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafod b'neinecha, uv'tartam al mezuzot beitecha, uv'isharecha. Leman tiskaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, Vitem Kedoshim Eloheihem, Ani Adonai Eloheihem, Asher Hotzeti Ethem, Me'eretz Mitzrayim, Liot Alhem Elohim, Ani Adonai Eloheihem.
Page 157. Please join me. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Yum bum bum bim bim bye, yabba bye bye bim bum. Yum bum bum bim bim bye, yabba bye bye bim bum. Ya la 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 la, yabba bye bye bim bum. Ya la 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 la, Yababai Babim Bam. Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai. Mi Chamocha Nedar Ba'Kodesh. Nora Tehilot O Sefele. Nora Tehilot O Sefele. Malachutecha Ra'u Vanecha. Bokei Hayam Lifnei Moshe uMiriam. Ze'eli Anu Ve'amru. Adonai Yimloch Leolam Va'ed. Yam bam bam bim bim bai, yababai ba bim bam. Yam bam bam bim bim bai, yababai ba bim bam. Ya la 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 la, yababai ba bim bam. Ya la 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 la, yababai ba bim bam.
Page 161.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, Hopares Sukkot Shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, va'el Yisrael.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Hamidenu Shomreinu l'chayim. Ufros aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha, Ufros aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha. Amen. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'hamidenu Shomreinu l'chayim. Ufros aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha, Ufros aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right.
The Amidah is on page 164, and once again, if you're able, please rise.
Adonai,
Sefatai tiftach ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zoher Hasdei Avot v'imahot, Umevi Gulam Livnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Tagil bor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah v'hoshia.
Mashim hayrum
Amorid,
Mechaye hayim behesed.
Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim v'rofei cholim. Umatir asurim. Umekayem emunato lishenei afar michamo chama gavurot umido melech melech memit umechaye umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol baruch atah Adonai Mechaye hakol.
Atah kadosh
V'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom yahalalucha sela. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Page 179. Hey, oh, oh, hey, hey, oh, oh, hey, hey, oh, Lo yisagoy goy cherev, lo yilmadu od milchama. 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 Hey, oh, oh, hey, hey, oh, oh, hey, hey,
At this point in our service, our thoughts turn to those who are in need of healing on this Shabbat, healing of body, healing of spirit, and healing of heart. And we ask God to bestow the bracha, the blessing of refuah shlema, full and complete healing on the following men and women from our congregation or those known and loved by our community: Ilana Massey, Kevin Brackett, Michelle Camisia, Kirk Whitlatch, Kathy Rotto, Aaron Ledden, Rachel Sadek, Michaela Cohen, Tracy Adams, Joan Wilmert, Kim Stevens, James Lynch, Don Copeland, Nancy Pollock, Pat Shapiro, Denise Robinson, Rachel Friedman, Paula Schwartz-Pervel, Marty Spitz, Joyce Sheffrin, Farah Garber, Judy Feiner, Stephen Schoenfeld, Angel Lozano, and Wendy Cochran. And if anyone here has a name that they'd like to add to our healing list, I invite you to please share that name with us. The Misha Barak prayer is on page 511.
Misha Barak Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Kor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos again to everyone, and a special Shabbat Shalom to those of you who are here for the first time, perhaps for Bryson's bar mitzvah, or those of you who have only been here a handful of times. It's great to see you again. Now, Bryson gave us a little preview of what he's going to do tomorrow, and his speech, which I've read, is really something special, just as good as the Hebrew that he gave us a taste of tonight. And what he's going to say tomorrow morning about the Torah portion is going to be a lot more interesting and insightful than what I have to say tonight. But I do want to share a few words and a couple of observations about this Torah portion with all of you this evening. Now, the Torah portion is called Vayechel, and it really focuses on the construction of the Mishkan, the tabernacle that the Israelites brought with them and carried with them and constantly built and took down and built again, literally on their backs during the 40 years that they wandered through the desert of Sinai. Now, the Torah portion doesn't only focus on the architecture of this tabernacle, it also focuses on the objects within it. There was a menorah, a candelabrum with 7 branches, as many of us know. There was an altar, there was a table, there were many other objects that the Torah portion describes. There was also a staff that took care of the tabernacle. There was Aaron and his 4 sons, the high priests. There were the Levites who served the priests. And then there was also the role of the lay partners of this tabernacle. There was an artisan named Betzalel. There were other artisans who are named. And then, of course, there were the lay leaders, the heads of the tribes, the heads of the 12 tribes who worked in partnership with the spiritual leaders of this period. So the Torah portion is about much more than just the tabernacle itself. But essentially, it is a blueprint for all the rest of us about how to build a spiritual community. And in that sense, its lessons have lasted for millennia. Now, as many of you know, the tabernacle ended after the Israelites crossed the Jordan, after Moses dies, after a period of conflict with some of the other inhabitants at that time. And a temple was built made out of stone, not out of cloth and wood like the tabernacle was. And a temple was built in Jerusalem. And this temple lasted, the first temple, for many hundreds of years until it was destroyed by the Babylonians about 2,600 years ago. Then after that, the Israelites built a second temple. And that stood for another period of hundreds of years in Jerusalem, made of stone. We still have a fragment left, the western wall of that second temple. But then that was destroyed by the Romans 2,000 years ago in the year 70. And at that point, the synagogue became the central address of the Jewish people when the temple no longer stood. And a synagogue, according to the rabbis, really was designed to be three different things. It was designed to be a beit tefillah, a house of prayer, a beit midrash, a house of study, and a beit knesset, a house of gathering. It was supposed to be holistic, and it was supposed to address the desires and the needs of the Jewish people in many ways like the temple and the tabernacle at one time did as well. So the synagogue, which has been around for 2,000 years now, is similar, but also very different in terms of being a blueprint for how to build a spiritual community in the Jewish context. There were no longer priests, there was no longer animal sacrifice, but the synagogue still aimed and continues to aim to touch our hearts, to touch our minds, and to comfort our bodies, just like the Mishkan at one time did. Now, a synagogue still needs a successful partnership between its clergy, its staff, and its lay leaders. In modern times, synagogues have boards, and it still needs to be all things to all people, or at least tries to be that thing, by being the central address of the Jewish community. And in that way, it is also like the Mishkan, it is also like the tabernacle, and it's been that way, as I said, for 2,000 years. But in the year 2025, I think we need to ask ourselves whether this is still a realistic model for the Jewish community in today's day and age. And many Jews, particularly younger Jews, are building new institutions, new projects, new initiatives to try to address the ever-evolving needs and wants of the Jewish people. Can a synagogue really be all things to all people? I've been a rabbi now for over 30 years, and that's a very tall order. It seems a little more aspirational than realistic. How can you possibly be all things to all people? You know the famous saying, 2 Jews, 3 opinions? Try being a rabbi or the president of a congregation, right, Eve? And you'll see how difficult that can sometimes be. Now, how do we engage, and what is our responsibility toward those Jewish men and women who do not want to be part of a synagogue at all? There are a lot of Jews who are not affiliated with synagogues. In fact, according to a recent Jewish Federation study, only about, and this is a few years old, only about 15% of Jews across North America actually are members of synagogues. So what does that tell us about them and about us? You know, what do we need to do to bridge that gap? So I'll leave you with just a few issues that I think are very salient and very important in terms of trying to address these questions, which of course we're not going to resolve tonight. First of all, how do we find a balance between in-reach and outreach? How do we find the balance between focusing on our members, focusing on those people, those men, women, and children who are already members, who are already engaged with our institutions, with our congregations? How do we balance focusing on them with outreach, focusing on that other 85% of people who live in Napa Valley or around this country who are not members of synagogues, who do not support JCCs or Federation, who are not engaged in any communal way with the larger Jewish community. How do we find that balance between in-reach and outreach? It's not easy. How, as a faith-based nonprofit organization, particularly a smaller congregation like us here at CBS, how do we deal with having limited resources, limited staff, limited budget, limited numbers of people who will volunteer to be on committees or on the board? How do we do what we want to do with the very limited resources that we have and that all nonprofit organizations have? And finally, how do we know when to let go? For those people who are not interested in synagogue membership, who are not interested in being part of or supporting the larger institutional Jewish community, or those people who are not kind, not compassionate, whose views may be hateful and offensive to others? How do we know when to let go and say, you know what, maybe this community is not right for you? How do we know when to do all of these different things? And I think every community, both its members and its professional staff, need to wrestle with these questions. And I invite all of us, particularly those of us who belong to congregations, whether CBS or elsewhere, whether you're on the board, on a committee, or just a member of the community, I invite all of us to think of these issues tonight, tomorrow, in the months and years ahead, as we all strive to build the strongest, most meaningful and relevant institutions and communities that we possibly can. It's not easy, but Jews have been doing this for centuries, and I think we're all up to the task. So, Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. We're going to continue now with one of our concluding prayers, the Aleinu on page 586. And again, as you turn to page 586, if you're able, please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Please be seated. I mentioned at the outset of services the resumption of the conflict in Gaza, and as missiles rain on Israel from Yemen and from Gaza and from other places, we offer a prayer for the state and for the people of Israel. And I'd like to ask you to turn to page 552 and to join me. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. It is my honor now to invite up CBS board member Susie Krieger to share some important announcements with all of us tonight.
Sorry. Okay.
Good evening. Join us tomorrow at 10:30 to share in the simcha of the bar mitzvah of Bryson Underwood. This month's monthly movie screening will be Fiddler on the Roof. It will be held on Monday, March 24th. The movie will start promptly at 6 p.m., so plan accordingly. Take advantage of being the shul with the pool on Friday, March 28th from 3 to 6. Please register so we can plan ahead. Join Art Grand on Saturday, March 29th at 10:30 for a healing circle. And registration is open for Camp Havarim and the CBS Second Night Community Seder on April 13th. Tour Yoga with Amy Hall will take place on April 3rd for mat yoga at 6 p.m. and April 4th for chair yoga at 11 a.m. Please contact Amy Hall with any questions you may have. The CBS annual members meeting will take place on Monday, May 5th. See the emails and flyers for details. Donate a car, boat, motorcycle, any vehicle, and CBS will receive 80% of the sale price. Please see Effie Lubiner with questions. You need not to live in Napa to participate, so tell your friends and family. In case you haven't been taking notes, the most recent newsletter with information on all temple events is available by clicking the link on the CBS homepage, and a flyer for the upcoming events will be found in the lobby. Tonight's Kiddush is sponsored by the Michalski family in honor of Bryson's bar mitzvah. We'd like to give warm wishes to this week's birthday and anniversary. Happy birthday to Jana Waldinger, Marlo Cohen, Effie Lubiner, Charlotte Smith, Alan Bergman, Maya Barish, Debbie Alterstar, and Jonas Kaufman. And happy anniversary to Steve and Elizabeth Amola, 42 years, Shane and Heidi Solinger, 17 years. And congratulations, Bryson. Thank you.
As we near the end of our service, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We remember those who have died during the past 12 months. Lauren Bisberg, Chava Pearl Bar Herschel Veroz Gittel, Victor Lynn, Rosella Bernstein, Morris Feynman, Frank Glickman, Dee Copeland, Dr. Rodney Block, Eileen Gotkin, Eugene DePasqua, Barbara Balick, Debbie Mendelson, Peter Laband, Michael Blend, Renee Marer, William Powell Hudson, David Folkman, David Ash, Diane Gallagher, Elizabeth Foster, Diane Rado Persile, Lynn Posner, Shiri Bibas, Ariel Bibas, Kafir Bibas, Sharon Meyer Fuller, Wolfgang Schechter, Itzhak Algarat, Tzachi Idan, Ohad Yachalomi, Shlomo Mansour, Odad Yachalomi, and Oded Lifshitz. We also remember and honor the yahrzeits, the anniversaries of the deaths of Harold Margolis, William Katz, Ruth Sandra Wolfstein, Dr. Alvin V. Pensler, Bruce McChesney, Florence Pascan, Eileen Herman, Joseph Wood, Lauren Bisberg, Lois Levin, Benjamin Blattis, Jacob Sherman, Phyllis Parasachensky, Fishel ben Shmuel. And if anyone has a name they'd like to add, I invite you to please do so. The mourner's Kaddish is on page 598. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah b'alma divrach hirtei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayachon uv'yomachon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael b'agala uv'izman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam u'lamei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabak v'yitfa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'richu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shmaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the source of peace grant peace to all those in mourning and comfort to all those who are bereaved, and let us all say amen. Please be seated. Before I invite Bryson and Elena back up to the bima for Kiddush and Motzi, we have our concluding song.
We'll end with our Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, imru, amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav, ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, imru, amen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, imru,
Everyone else, if you can, please rise. Elaine, I'll give this to you. And Bryson, just face everyone. And please join them in the Kiddush.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Amen.
L'chaim. We'll pretend we're in Europe. I guess we won't.
No, don't encourage this.
Okay, now the Motzi.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lehem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat.